This mechanical paralysis represents a specific strategy of coordinated non-cooperation within the executive branch. It is a system designed to seize the momentum of government through the sheer friction of bureaucracy. The Federal Workforce Alliance for Democracy, or FWAD, functions as the central operational node for this strategy. Their objective involves orchestrating a synchronized withdrawal of cooperation across federal agencies. FWAD coordinates a parallel architecture divided into 3 distinct spheres of influence. This structure is designed to isolate different components of the operation from direct legal liability. Legislative support operates through congressional member organizations, or CMOs, using the legal protections of Capitol Hill to provide institutional cover. The second sphere, operational law, employs nonprofit 501c3 legal arms to draft strategy and coordinate advocacy outside of direct government oversight. A centralized pipeline of PAC funding provides the capital required to sustain these synchronized actions across the country. This investigation will rigorously test the exact boundaries of this network against established federal law to determine if its operations exceed legal limits. We will analyze 3 specific regulatory thresholds: House rules regarding private services, 52 U.S.C. Section 30121 on foreign contributions, and executive branch legal protections regarding the chain of command. Mapping this blueprint moves the discussion past political rhetoric and into the mechanics of a legally actionable institutional ecosystem operating from within the Capitol. The overlap between the legislature and private NGOs is visible within a specific 71-day operational window in early 2026. On February 4th, 25 sitting members of the United States Congress launched the Congressional Federal Workforce Caucus. Senator Chris Van Hollen leads this initiative as a co-chair alongside Representative Steny Hoyer and Representative James Walkinshaw. The roster includes 24 Democrats and 1 Republican, Representative Mike Lawler. His presence provides a strategic bipartisan shield for the organization's activities. Skye Perryman, the CEO of Democracy Forward, attended the launch. Democracy Forward is the 501c3, documented as the legal arm of the FWAD coalition. On an April 15th strategy call, FWAD's operational leader, Jeremy Sittimer, explicitly endorsed a coordinated shutdown of the country until the sitting president is removed from power. During the launch, Senator Van Hollen utilized a specific legal phrase to describe the sitting executive branch: clear and present danger. This phrase serves as the historical constitutional test from the 1919 case Schenck v. United States. It establishes the point where speech loses First Amendment protection because it incites imminent lawless action. Senator Van Hollen is a Columbia Law graduate. His use of this precise legal formulation represents a calculated stress test of First Amendment protections. The launch of the caucus and the coalition established a legally protected vanguard for a system of organized non-cooperation. Examining the internal operations of this vanguard requires a review of the strict regulatory boundaries governing congressional member organizations under House rules. House rules are explicit. A CMO is categorically prohibited from accepting funds or services from private organizations or individuals. Following the launch, 9 separate member offices released coordinated press statements containing near-identical paragraphs regarding the caucus. Investigators must determine whose word processor produced these identical statements. If an NGO drafted the communications for these 9 offices, the caucus has accepted private services, explicitly breaching the House rule. This coordination extended to a November 18 video, where 6 lawmakers told U.S. military and intelligence personnel they could refuse the lawful orders of their commander-in-chief. Senator Mark Kelly was one of the 6 lawmakers captured on camera delivering these instructions. Representative Chrissy Houlihan was also a participant in the video's production. The Pentagon opened UCMJ proceedings against Senator Kelly. The Department of Justice also attempted to secure a federal grand jury indictment against all 6 involved. By embedding operational directives within the framework of a congressional caucus, the network leverages standard legislative privileges to shield activities that would otherwise face immediate federal prosecution. We now look at the financial architecture required to sustain these synchronized actions across the federal workforce. Act Blue functions as a conduit pack that centralizes democratic small-dollar donations into a single processing pipeline. Federal law under 52 U.S.C. Section 30121 prohibits foreign national campaign contributions from entering the U.S. political system. Act Blue's own outside counsel, Covington & Burling, warned the board that an aggressive prosecutor might view their filings not just as a false statement, but as an effort to conceal the foreign contributions. The House Oversight Committee subsequently identified 237 suspicious overseas transactions originating from multiple global regions in a single 60-day window. Internal estimates suggest that up to 6.4% of all contributions in the 2024 cycle could have flowed from illicit or untraced sources. That percentage equates to hundreds of millions of dollars in untraced capital entering the network's financial pipeline. ActBlue fired their legal counsel shortly after receiving the warning regarding these specific financial vulnerabilities. The evidence suggests a financial architecture designed to obscure the critical boundary between domestic grassroots support and foreign capital. The question for investigators is how to hold this well-funded, legally protected network accountable. Accountability relies on the network's geographic centralization. The operational NGOs, the Caucus offices, and the financial compliance records all exist within a single physical footprint in Washington, D.C. This places the entire apparatus within the unique original jurisdiction of the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. Because the conduct touches federal crimes committed in Washington, the U.S. Attorney can open preliminary inquiries without prior authorization from Maine Justice. The U.S. Attorney can utilize routine tools, subpoenas, document requests, and preservation letters, to force immediate transparency onto the personnel and donor files of these organizations. The physical centralization that allows these groups to coordinate efficiently is the same factor that exposes them to unmediated prosecutorial oversight. We've mapped the systemic architecture, legislative firewalls, NGO hubs, and financial conduits contained within D.C. This model relies on the appearance of isolation, the premise these entities do not coordinate, despite data indicating shared drafting and unified timelines. Proving that coordination shifts the role of the viewer from a passive observer to an active, engaged compliance auditor. Step 1 is monitoring the communications. Citizens can cross-reference Caucus press releases against NGO communications to find evidence of shared legal drafting. Step 2 is auditing the capital. Investigators can utilize Federal Election Commission databases to isolate international transaction patterns moving through conduit PACs. Step 3 is tracing the violations. Reviewing Committee on House Administration regulatory dockets can identify where caucuses have accepted prohibited private services. The dismantling of this institutional framework relies on the precise, legally rigorous enforcement of the rules these organizations claim to protect.